Florida.
Next team alphabetically is, Sanders just said, the Florida Gators, who went 8-5 last year, and I don't think we give head coach Billy Napier enough credit for going 8-5, considering the schedule they played and the expectations going into the year of like, oh man, he's coaching for his job. Like, oh, we don't expect this to go well at all, and then they go out and win 8 games.
It wasn't even just. It's at the beginning of the year. It was like 4 or 5 weeks in, halfway through the season.
Correct.
It wasn't going well, and it was like if Napier loses another one, we'll have an interim head coach.
Yep. But he manages to right the ship. He keeps all the players on board. I think DJ Lagway should get a ton of credit for that. It's just kind of, it helps when you have this super elite, talented, promising kid as a true freshman, and he played well last year. In the time he did play, just struggled with some injuries as well as was not the starter from day one. Threw for 1,900 yards, 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Flashed a ton, but he was a true freshman, so there were a couple of times he just like missed some throws or made a bad decision. Overall, the tape was really promising. What are y'all's thoughts on DJ Lagway?
I mean, he's insane. I asked somebody, Steve Palazzolo, I asked him on Twitter and he never responded, but I'll ask, we don't have to have this full conversation right now because it's kind of long, but with DJ Lagway and Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, is this the most hype we've seen around a class of freshmen? Because, I mean, the hype around Lagway has been insane, and he kind of lived up to it at times last year, so he was very impressive and will be impressive probably for the next 2 years at Florida, and now they bring in a really good weapon to pair with him in Dallas Wilson. You got thoughts on him, JP?
I think he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
He throws well from any base, like literally any base. Doesn't really matter. The footwork does not matter for him, and he will still throw accurate, beautiful spiral. The pocket awareness is great. He knows how to rotate into space really well. It's something I really love about Garrett Nussmeier's game, as well as just the ability to even if the pocket isn't breaking down, he knows how to get to the space where he's going to just have all the time to throw. And not only is he just going to space, he's going to space where the play is going as well. You can have crossers going to the left. If you roll out to the right, you've got no one to throw to.
Yeah.
Lagway shows the ability to just kind of rotate into that space. What I love about him right now is he's not afraid to throw the ball, given how talented he is as an athlete. He's not run like a Taylon Green is right now, or Marcel Reed is right now. He is someone who's going to rotate into the pocket, try to find someone. He throws a really catchable ball. It's just something you can really see that's okay, yeah, that'd be easy to catch. It's not right there on a laser. He's got touch on even on the really hard and difficult throws that he has to really put a lot of strength into. The arm strength is still there. He's going to be a star. I really think so. I'm curious to the weapons that they'll put around him, how he'll play in that. But
Sure.
My biggest thing, and this will be a common theme for a lot of these quarterbacks going forward here in the SEC, is I need to see him play in big moments, because I think I said it about Bryce Underwood as well. It was just the talent is there, but I need to see, are you going to have the wow factor? Are you going to show and make a play that just no one else can make? And that is something that all of the elite quarterbacks that have gone really high in the draft have been able to do. Trevor Lawrence, his big runs against Ohio State in the playoff. Baker Mayfield had a ton of big moments. Bryce Young had his big moments when he was in a... Obviously, Caleb Williams had just insane highlight play moments. I want to see that from DJ Lagway. And, man, are we going to get to see it this year, because they are going to be on national TV so many times, and there are so many big games across the schedule. At LSU is huge. At Miami is a big one. That's a huge one for them because, they were embarrassed last year in Week 1 against Miami. Cam Ward coming to town. At A&M is a big one as well because they were embarrassed by Texas A&M in that game, in a game where Marcel Reed started as well. The hosting Texas, I think, is their biggest game of the year outside of the Georgia game, because that is a game where you need to show that the swamp is still the swamp.
Yeah.
And that you can rely on that because they haven't been able to show that. Even with Billy Napier, they haven't necessarily been excellent at home obviously the A&M loss and the Miami loss last year. I even think to 2 years ago when Florida State comes to town, limping in with the backup quarterback, and they still couldn't get over the hump in a game they should have beat the Seminoles to keep them from going undefeated. They need to show that, and I think that's why Week 6 for me is like that's their biggest game of the year because they're going to beat Tennessee at home. They always beat Tennessee. That's just a given. But that is really their only big home game outside of the Bulldogs coming to town. So it's just
That's
like
a huge one.
they're going to be on the road, which is why I don't expect their season to go well. I don't expect them to hit the over, which we'll get into in a little bit. But they're going to be on national TV. Lagway's going to have a lot of big chances, big moments, and he could very easily play himself into the number 1 overall pick for next year's draft already coming into the season.
Sure.
But I'm excited to watch him play in these big moments because that's my only question right now.
Sure.
Everything is there from a talent perspective from Lagway.
Yeah. It will be cool to see him and kind of Arch battle it out. I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but for that top QB.
First, we had to see him and Nussmeier battle it out.
Distinguish.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant in the game. But
Oh
you're
yeah,
talking
no,
about
like for to be the first QB
Yeah,
taken.
yeah.
Not this upcoming draft, but the next one. I think the A&M game is huge for them because I kind of see them and A&M in in like the same tier within the SEC, and so like one way to maximize your record is to like beat the teams that I think you're similar quality with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it is at A&M, but if you can go win that one, that's one it can be like we're at the kind of top of tier 2 in the SEC, whatever that looks like. I will say Lagway's dealing with some sort of injury, so he really does have to get healthy. If you'll scroll down and read my Andrew McBride, friend of the show, has been in the chat before. I hit him up because he's a big Florida Gators fan. Asked him for Andrew's
He's been on
analysis.
the show.
He has been on the show
for the NFL draft.
That's right. I asked him for Andrew's analysis, and he gave me 3 points. Lagway's health was the first one because he kind of is this team. And if he goes down with how hard the schedule is, you're not winning very many games. And then play calling consistency was his second one. In games where their offense wasn't clicking, they never really adjusted to get things going. They just kind of beat their head against a brick wall. So he'd like to see some leveling up of the play calling, I guess. And then point 3, can defense hold up week to week against the schedule with 9 of 12 teams having a good offense, which is just brutal. It was a young defense last year. They return a lot of guys. I think the D-line will be really good. The secondary has to improve, though. They kind of got torn to shreds back there last year, so they're kind of banking on in-house development. But that schedule is just lethal.
Yeah, but they're also, they are a talented team just beyond DJ Lagway. They had the 4th best recruiting class in 2025.
Sure. Yeah, they have other good players. I think Jaden Baugh, who's a freshman last year, going into his sophomore season at running back, should take another step and be really good.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Jake Slaughter, in my opinion, future Remington Award winner. Fantastic at center. Will get drafted very high this upcoming year. I think their O-line will be good. Someone mentioned Dallas Wilson already. Was it
Sanders
you?
did.
Sanders did.
I did, yes, I did.
He's a 5-star freshman. We'll see how much he actually plays. Even someone like J. Michael Sturdivant, who's transferring in from UCLA, I think could be a good weapon for him among other guys. So it is a very talented team. It's just, can they really put it all together week in and week out is the biggest question. Can Lagway deliver in big moments is the biggest question. And that's why we see the over-under being at 7.5 after sitting here and largely praising this team, and yet the under's only 7.5.
Yeah, do they have the hardest schedule in the country? Is that right?
Yeah, but on a metric standpoint,
Yeah.
yes, they have the hardest schedule
The hardest
in the
strength of
country.
schedule, I guess, is
Strength of schedule, yes. I think it'll be interesting to see as well, like, does Napier continue with that progress that they showed last year through swells in the season? Because they're going to have them just like they did last year. Are they going to show that again and then be able to still play in a big game? Like Georgia, your 10th week of the season, you've played 5 ranked matchups potentially at that point. 4 ranked matchups for sure. Not predicting Mississippi State or UCF to be a ranked matchup, but that's 4 ranked matchups already.
Sure.
And then you got to go and play the Florida-Georgia game. I'm really curious to see how they continue with the attrition of the season.
Because there's a real world you're 2-3 and you've lost to 3 top 10 teams, and so I think it's a good point of like, can he keep the ship like going straight through murky waters, through choppy waters? Because you could bounce back from that and still win a lot of games and have a decent season. But I think that's a great point, JP. You could even be 2-4, and it's like, oh dang, like
Now you got to beat the Bulldogs.
yeah. And then you don't beat the Bulldogs, and all of a sudden you're 2-5, and then the
Napier
wheels
could
have
be
come
fired.
off, and Napier's been fired. But
No, I think win total 7.5. I am going to take the over. I think Lagway's going to lead them to enough victories. I think they'll get to 8-4. I don't think they'll get to 9-3 and be in the playoff contention. I am in the boat of and I felt this with a 12-team playoff coming, that a 9-3 ACC team was always going to make the playoff. They are 100% the example of that with the schedule that they have. I don't pick. They could lose to Long Island, UCF, and Mississippi State. They're in the playoff. I think that argument can still be made.
sure,
With this team, so 9-3, 9 wins is the playoff. And again, if you lose that game to Miami, you could be in the same spot A&M's in, or you could potentially be in the SEC championship with 2 losses, and losing the SEC championship with 4 losses now in your regular season. That's still a playoff bid. I think they'll get to 8 wins, though. I have a lot of faith in Lagway. I think the defense is a lot better than the general people think. A lot of the actual media knows it's good and knows it's going to be good. The offensive line is the big one for me. They have 3 guys that are going to get drafted this year.
sure.
Jake Slaughter is going to be a first-round pick, but they have a tackle and a guard that are both going to be drafted this year, and I think that's going to help Lagway a ton, especially playing against the SEC defensive lines that you're going to play, Texas, A&M, LSU, Georgia. Like, you're going to play against some elite defensive lines.
Sure.
So Lagway could easily get eaten alive, but I think they have the pieces there to protect them. So I got 8 wins.
They need to protect him. I also am taking the over here. It's also just a Lagway pick. We were talking about, the kind of the mental math you do when picking over-unders, and that doesn't really add up here. But I just have enough trust in DJ Lagway and his ability to go win them a couple games. And I'm also at 8 wins, maybe 9. I don't really see anything like magical happening here. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs personally, but you never know. But I am taking the over here.
Yeah, I'll also take the over, and that's even with, just to address what's going on in the chat, talking about strength of schedule. Depending on what metrics you check, State and Oklahoma might be first or second, but the one I just checked, Florida is first. So, and that does come in part, Sven, I don't know, they play Miami on the road. That's a tough matchup. And then also going to Florida State, that's an unknown right now. Week 14 of Florida State's schedule, Florida State could be 2-9, or they could be 9-2. Like, we realistically don't know what to expect from Florida State going into this year.
They will not be 2-9 going into that game.
I would be pretty confident saying they're not going to be 2-9. They may not be great.
Well, they could be 4-7.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'll allow that.
It's a little nitpicky, but that would be...
I just picked the number because it was a
diabolical.
nice palindrome, 2-9, 9-2. They could be 4-7 or 7-4. There we go.
I like that more.
I will also be picking the over for Florida. Once again, betting on DJ Lagway. I think it's going to be another year of development for him, another year of development for the rest of the team, so I'll take the over.